Hello, best friends. It's nice to be with you again today, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about something we're probably all experiencing a little bit right now, which is being kind of lonely. I know I'm really missing my friends, and you might be really missing your friends as well. Sometimes it's nice to be at home and not have to go to school, or for grown-ups not to have to go to work. But after a couple days, you might start feeling a little bit lonely, like, gee, but this is getting kind of boring. I wish I could go outside and play with my friends. And that's not unusual. Everybody's feeling that way right now. And so I want you to take that time. I know whenever I am encountering something that's difficult for me or that I'm having a hard time with, that's interfering with me feeling peaceful and happy, I try to think, is there anything that I could be learning from this? Because if I'm going to have to go through it anyway, I might as well see if I can grow from it a little bit. And so one of the things that this has been making me think, I have been thinking a lot about people who don't have any friends or no one to hang out with, even when they are at school or when they can go to church or when they can play out in their neighborhood. Sometimes there are people who, even when they're allowed to go out and play or go to school or church, they don't really have anybody to call a friend. And I'm thinking, wow, you know how I feel right now, kind of sad and lonely and bored without my friends? That may be how some people feel almost every day, even when they're not having to stay at home. And so that made me think a little bit about, I probably need to think more often about how I am helping other people feel included so that they're not having to feel lonely and sad and like they don't have anyone to play with or spend time with. And so today's book is about that. It's called You Can Sit With Me. And our character, remember, our word narrator is for a character that's telling the story from his or her perspective. And our hedgehog here is our narrator for this book, and he's going to be giving us a message of inclusion. Do you know what inclusion means, or to be included in something? Being included means others welcome you to join them, and that's a good way to feel when someone welcomes you to join them and be their friend. And so this story is told from the narrator's perspective. The hedgehog is our narrator, and it's called You Can Sit With Me. You Can Sit With Me by Lisa Combs, that's me, and illustrated by my best friend, Pam Frazier. That's why we're called Best Friend Books. You may think, I don't like you, or I think you don't like me. We don't need proof. Let's raise the roof. You can sit with me. What do you know what it means to raise the roof? It means celebrate, have a good time. So sometimes, have you ever thought that somebody didn't like you? They don't want to be my friend? Or have you ever thought, I don't like that person. I don't want them to play with me? We've probably all been in both of those positions before. It's no fun to be the person that no one wants to play with. You may be a hairy spider or an airsick bumblebee. I don't care. Pull up a chair. You can sit with me. You might have skinned up elbows after falling from a tree. Please don't cry. Just dry your eyes. You can sit with me. Do you see what our narrator is offering him since he hurt himself? Can you tell? He's offering him a Band-Aid. That's a good way to build a friendship, is to offer someone help when they're sad or upset. You may be a jumbo elephant or a teeny tiny flea. I'll make room in my hot air balloon, and then you can sit with me. Whether you like expensive things or prefer things that are free, you don't need stuff. You are enough, and you can sit with me. Have you ever been jealous of a friend because they had the new gaming system, or maybe they're allowed to stay up later than you, or maybe their family has a big fancy house or a big fancy car? You don't have to have anything to be a friend. So it's always good to make sure you're recognizing that even if someone doesn't have the coolest new toys or a fancy house or car or live in a fancy neighborhood, doesn't mean they wouldn't be the best friend, right? You may live in an igloo, a townhouse, or a tree. There's our townhouse. There's our tree. Any place is home if you're not alone, so you can sit with me. We may have had an argument because we don't always agree. But that's okay. It's a brand new day, and you can sit with me. Just because you have an argument with somebody or fight with someone about something doesn't mean that you can't make up and still be friends. Everybody has times when they don't get along, but you can always apologize and move on and be friends still. You may have 5 antennae and 2 tails or even 3. From near or far, we can have a talk or take a walk, or you can sit with me. You may be a great big giant with wobbly knobbly knees. Big and tall or short and small, you can sit with me. You may come from the city or a country far from me. Whether near or far or from a distant star, you can sit with me. You know what's kind of cool is that when you're friends with someone from far away, you learn all about new things, like new foods and new places and new games and new songs, even sometimes a new language. So if you recognize that there's a friend, a possible friend that's from someplace else and doesn't know anyone, that's a great person to make a friend with. You may learn so many new fun things. Dankeschön or gracias. Thank you or merci. Just different names that mean the same. You can sit with me. Do you know what Dankeschön and gracias and merci mean in different languages? They all mean thank you. Do you know anybody that speaks a different language than English? I know some people that speak different languages, and again, sometimes they can teach you part of their new language, and you can help them learn a little bit more English. That's pretty cool. I'm really good at reading. You're better at PE. You can run till my chapter's done. Then you can sit with me. We're not all good at the same things. We don't all like to do the same things, but that's what makes the world an interesting place. Even our world that's big and beautiful can seem lonely as can be. So join in our song. We all belong, and you can sit with me. Okay, I want you today to think about when you get to go back out to school or to play in your neighborhood with your neighbors, or when you get to go to church again. What are some ways that you could introduce yourself to someone new that might need a friend to play with or to sit with? So be thinking about all the possible ways that you could introduce yourself to someone, or say hi to someone, or ask them to join you. Maybe you could notice if they are doing something that you like to do, and you could join them and say, hey, I really like to play baseball too. You want to hit a few? Or play catch for a little while? Or maybe you could notice a book that they were reading and say, hey, I like to read too. What's that book you're reading? Here's what I've been reading lately. And you could show them your book. Or maybe you see them walking a dog as they walk past your house. Maybe you could go up and ask if you could pet their dog. So there's a lot of different ways that maybe you could introduce yourself to someone, welcome them, start a conversation with someone. Maybe you and your friends are playing tag or hide and seek in the neighborhood, and you notice that there's a new kid on the block that you haven't met before. Maybe you could go to their house and ask if they could come out and play. Maybe on recess, if you're playing Foursquare, you could, and you only have 3 people, maybe you could go up to someone who doesn't seem to have anyone to play with and ask if they want to join your Foursquare game. Maybe at lunch you could offer a seat to someone who doesn't seem to have anyone to sit with. So those are some things to think about, and that's your job for today, is to think of all the different ways, and maybe you could even think right now of someone in your class at school, or someone that you know at church youth group, or someone that lives in your neighborhood that you don't see playing with someone very often, or that is often sitting alone. And maybe you could think about how when you get back to school or church or playing in your neighborhood, you could invite that person to play. Because this is a really good time to remember that if you're feeling lonely or sad or a little bit bored, there are people that feel that way every day. And so you can make a world of difference by inviting someone to join you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you are surrounded with lots of people who have fun with you today. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.